know that according to WHO, over 1 billion people are living with disability? Do you also know that the number of people living with disability are increasing dramatically? Do you also know that disability can affect anyone, no matter who you are, and at any point in life? Do you also know that individuals living with disability faces a lot of discrimination, stigmas here and there? And do you know that there are a lot you can do to prevent disability? Hello lovely people, you are welcome to my channel. And so today's topic is about disability, what disability is all about, the causes, and how we can live within our own way or within our own means prevent disability. And so please, if you are watching me and you have not yet subscribed, consider subscribing, like and share this video for someone out there also to learn. And so when we talk of disability, what is disability? Now, when we talk of disability, disability is a condition of either the mind or the body that makes it difficult for the individual to move around and to interact with its or environment or the world around them. So any condition of the mind or of the body that makes it difficult for you to move around freely or interact with the environment around you or perform certain activities that everybody is able to perform, but because of the condition you are not able to perform that activity, it is known as what? Disability. Now when we talk of disability, we have different types of disabilities, and I'm going to share a few ones with you. And so we have visual impairment. When we talk of visual impairment, we are not just looking at blindness. We are talking of individuals with low vision, like myopia, hyperopia, astigmatism. All these falls under what? Visual impairment. And so when we talk of visual impairment, you're not looking at total blindness. And so if you have any condition with your vision that requires some kind of support, it means you fall under visual impairment, which in turn you fall under what? Disability. We have hearing impairment. Hearing impairment, we are not just looking at individuals with total deafness. We are also looking at those with hard of hearing. Do you get? They also fall under what? Hearing impairment. We also have another form of disability, autism. Autism is also part. We have learning disability. We have intellectual disabilities. We also have mental health conditions. Another type of disability is physical disability. And when we talk of physical disability, we are talking of individuals in the wheelchair, individuals with crutches, and any form of physical disability. We also have behavior and emotional disorders. And so we have a lot of disabilities out there. And so one might not be visually impaired or hearing impaired or physically disabled. The person might be hyperactive. The person might have some kind of behavior disorder, or emotionally the person is not okay, and so they all fall under disability. Now let's look at the causes of disabilities. In our part of the world, Africa or in Ghana here, in most cases when someone has some form of disability, we tend to think that it is spiritual, or this person was bewitched, or this person was cursed. Especially if a woman gives birth to a child with disability, we think, oh, it's cursed. And some people even tend to give the child to some water body because the child is what is cursed. Now we are going to look at the causes. Now we have the first cause could be genetic. And when we talk of genetic factors, we are talking of something that you inherited from your parents. So it could be that the child's disability, he or she inherited it from the parents. And one of the common disabilities that is as a result of genetics is intellectual disability, especially Down syndrome. You know, every human being is made up of 46 chromosomes, meaning 23 pairs from each of your parents, your father 23, your mother 23. And so if a child's chromosome is more than 46, instead of the 2 pairs, that is 23 from each parent, and then there's an additional one added, making it 47, then that child might end up with intellectual disability such as Down syndrome. And we're also looking at family history. And so it could be that in the family, they have the history of visual impairment. So the possibility that a child will be born with visual impairment is there. And so the fact that you, the man, you are not facing anything or the wife is not facing anything, or even the wife's mother, or maybe the immediate family members that you know, they are not having any form of disability with their eyes or intellectually, doesn't mean that when you trace the family line or the family tree, you will not maybe identify someone there with that. Do you get it? And another causes of disability is the lifestyle. The lifestyle, let's take like a pregnant woman. Someone who is pregnant, taking in alcohol, not eating balanced diets, putting yourself into some strenuous activities can affect the child in the womb. Some medications that you take in can cause what? Disability to the child. If a woman is pregnant and you are abusing the woman physically or emotionally, it can affect the child in the womb, and the woman will end up giving birth to a child with disability. The things you expose yourself to when you are pregnant can affect your child, and you give birth to a child with learning disability, a child who is hyperactive. Those kids that they can't sit at one place, their eyes are everywhere and all that. Some, when they are kids like that, when they are kids and they look that energetic and active, you think, oh yes, my child is active. But when they grow and then they need to be tamed, or you want to control them, it becomes difficult. And so you take that child to school, and that child the child cannot take simple instruction, cannot sit at one place. That hyperactive child. Some mothers are winning the child. They will introduce the child to some caffeinated drinks and certain things that are not good for the child. It can make the child to be hyperactive. One might say that, oh, I am not pregnant, so then it doesn't count. It's not just about pregnancy. Individually, certain foods that you eat, you don't eat well, or if you don't make the right choices in terms of diet, or in terms of what you take in, or in terms of activities, and then you end up having diabetes or high blood pressure, you expose yourself, and the chances of you having disability is very high, or becomes very high. Do you get it? Now, if you are young, you don't really see it, you don't really experience it, but while you grow and you get to some age, then all these things will come in. That is why we have some disease or some sicknesses, we call it lifestyle diseases, like stroke, like diabetes, like BP. Those ones, we call them lifestyle diseases, because they are as a result of some choices or certain lifestyle choices you made when you were young and active. You expose yourself to those things, and then you get to some age in life, and those things piled up, and they give you those sicknesses or those diseases, and then they also in turn expose you to some form of disability. So drug abuse, yes, drug abuse can also lead to disability. And so those of you abusing drugs here and there, using those hard drugs for yourself, can lead to intellectual disability, or can cause some form of disability to you. Another causes is also accidents. It could be a car accident that can happen, and then one will lose the leg. Could also be home accident. Do you get it? It could be that the person was cooking and oil or something splitted on the person or on the person's face, and then entered the eye, causes what? Eye problem for the person. Do you get it? It could also be accident at the workplace. Anything can happen at the workplace, and then it will affect the individual. There's a story of a lady. She's a hairdresser, and so she was holding a tail comb, that blue comb with the long tail, and she was using the comb to take off dirt from her ears, and she was standing close to the door, and then the wind blew, and then the door hit the comb, and then the comb entered the ears. There and there she became deaf. This was an accident. It happened at the workplace, and as a result of that, she has lost a sense of what? Hearing. Do you get it? And so accidents is something that we don't have total control over, but in a way we also have control over it. Another cause of disability is also certain illness, and when we talk of certain illness, we are talking of stroke. Cancer can also expose you to some form of disabilities. Diabetes can also expose you to what? Some form of disabilities, and so many on. Another causes of disability is violence and conflict. When a country faces some form of conflict, or a town or even family faces some form of conflict, and it become violence, throwing things at each other, cutting each other here and there, it can expose an individual towards some form of what? Disability. And so these are many more causes out there that can expose an individual to any form of or some form of what disability. And so we see that disability is not there for some particular people. And so you cannot say there and say, as for me, it cannot happen to me. No, it can happen to you at any time, no matter who you are. If you don't take precaution, it can happen to you. Anybody at all out there can be affected with some form of what disability. That is why it is very important for you and I to learn and know these things, and then in our own possible way we try to avoid certain things that can expose us to any form of what disability. Now let's look at how we can prevent disability. We have 3 levels of prevention, not just limited to disability. It's cut across health. Generally, what we can do to prevent some form of disease or sickness, and most importantly, disability. And so we have primary level. The primary level, what we are talking about here is, in your own way, make sure you prevent disability from happening. Make sure you do your possible best to prevent disability. That is, eat well, make the right choices to eat balanced diet. When you are pregnant, take care of yourself. Do not allow injuries to happen to you. In the home, make sure that things are arranged well. Make sure that the floor is dry so that you don't slip. Make sure that when you are cooking, you take a precaution so that oil does not split on your face and some will enter into your eyes. As a driver, make sure that you take the precaution to drive well. You don't drink and drive to cause accidents. When you are crossing the road or when you are on the road, make sure that you take precaution as an individual so that you don't find yourself being hit by a car and then you end up being disabled. And so primary level, we are saying that in your own way, do your possible best to prevent sickness or to prevent injury. Next level is secondary prevention. And the secondary prevention, what we are saying here is go for screening. Don't wait to be sick before you go to the hospital for screening. Go for screening. When you go for screening, that is when you will know that there are certain things that are hidden. And there are some disabilities, if they are seen at the early stage, it can be prevented. Something like vision disorder or visual impairment. There are certain things, if the child is being screened at the early stage, it can be prevented. There are some eye conditions like myopia or hyperopia. If you have them, you will never know until you are screened. You will never know that I am myopic. I know someone, until the person went for a driving test, he never knew he was myopic. It was during driving test that they screened him, and then he got to know that, oh, so all this while I am myopic. Because myopia is a kind of condition, whenever you are watching something from a distance and you cannot see, you would definitely walk close. And then you think that, oh, okay, when I walk close, I'll see. And so when you walk close to the thing and you see it, you think, oh, that is okay. You will never know that you have a problem. And so until you go for screening, you will never know. And when we talk of screening, for me as a person, my main concern is on the children. When we talk of kids and their vision, children, the way they see is how they know. They think it is normal. When they are not seeing well, they don't know that they have blurred vision. They don't know that they are myopic. Like I said, even an adult, you might not know that you are myopic until you go for screening. And so kids, the way they see, they think that is how it is. Until you take them to the hospital and then they realize, oh, this child has this condition. We need to prevent it before it ends up being, before the child becomes what? Blind. Do you get it? There are some conditions you might be lucky to get to experience the symptoms quick, like red eye, like painful eye, and so the child will be complaining, mommy, my eyes are paining me. Maybe you, the parent, will even see that my child's eyes are red, and so let me take the child to the hospital. Or there are some fluid coming out of the child's eye, and so let me take the child to the hospital. But let's say a child newborn baby who cannot even talk and say, mommy, my eyes are paining me. How will you know? And so it is very important that at a tender age, the child will be taken to the hospital for screening. Don't wait for you to be sick before you go to the hospital. Make sure you are always there, checking yourself, screening your ears, screening your eyes, all general screening that you can do to find out if there is something wrong with your system before they pile up and then get to the point where it will be too late to be treated. Then you end up with disability of some form. The next level of prevention is tertiary level. That is tertiary prevention. At this point, we are talking of what? Managing the disease or the sickness, to slow its impact or to stop its impact. Do you get it? So you went to the hospital and then they realized that you have cataracts. And so what they can do is to treat it and then help you with medication, and then you manage it in a way that it doesn't become serious for you to what? To lose your vision. Do you get it? So that you become totally blind. And so what we are saying at the tertiary level is you manage it to slow its impact. You now know that you have diabetes. You now know that you have high blood pressure. You now know that you have cancer. And so now what you are going to do is to manage the situation, taking your medication well, eating well, engaging yourself in some form of activity like exercise to manage the diseases, to slow its impacts, so that you don't end up with some form of what? Disability. And so in your own way, one, make sure that whatever you do possibly to prevent disability, you do, especially with the kids. Very, very important with the kids. Also, don't wait for the child to complain or you find out something before you go for screening. Do it. It's very important. And then thirdly, if you are diagnosed of any diseases, make sure that you manage it well so that its impact does not become serious. Do you get it? For you to end up with some form of disability. And so from what we have studied so far, I believe that you have come to know that disability can affect anybody. And in your own way, you can prevent disability. And so do your possible best to prevent disability, especially with children. With children, because children have limited knowledge about themselves. And so until you, the adults, decide to take initiative to protect them, they can't do anything for themselves. Thanks so much for watching me. Do you have issues concerning disability? Are you an organization or an institution and you need a special educator to educate you on special education or special needs? Do you need a special educator for a child with special needs or for yourself? You can contact me. My email address is there. Send me an email concerning anything you want to know about individuals with special needs or disability, and let's get talking. Have a blessed day. Do well to share this video, and if you have not yet subscribed, please do subscribe for me. Bye bye.